So it's a pleasure that Sandy has reached out and asked us to host this event. Sandy and Ed do an awful lot for poetry, and they're everywhere at any moment in time. And it's great that she's brought this program here, a book party for the recent anthology. She's always publishing something. And I'm gonna let her go through all the details, and please welcome Sandy Carlson.
Thanks everybody for coming out on this beautiful afternoon. It's really great to have everybody here and to do this reading of these poems from this collection. And you know, I've wanted for a very long time to do a collection about lost love, the goodbye you never got to say because the person left when you weren't ready for it. And I was inspired by the loss of a friend of mine who took his life in 2001. And he was a homosexual, and it was not a good time to be a homosexual, growing up in the 80s with very conservative parents, and ultimately his sorrow consumed him, and he decided that the suffering was too much. And I have his poetry that he wrote, and I'm going to share one of his poems to start the reading. And then last fall, a friend of mine in Texas lost her son to suicide. And not that this is a collection of poems about that, but it's about the deep love we feel for the people who are no longer with us. And after we did the call for manuscripts, for poems, I thought, oh geez, what have I asked for? You know, is this going to read like one heavy book full of sorrow? And it didn't turn into that at all. It is a celebration of life and love for all kinds of people who have passed through the lives of the people who've contributed. And I just want to say that the cover of the book is a watercolor that my friend in Texas had done and sent to me a couple years back, and I knew that was the cover for this book. And it's an international collection. There are a lot of Connecticut people from around the country, but also people overseas, and many of them have contributed readings. They knew this event was coming and weren't jetting out from India to be here, but they've contributed a reading, and so we'll intersperse the in-person with the online. And Ed is my husband and the guy with the tech brain, so he'll take care of that piece of it, and we'll just go back and forth, and then at the end we can do an open mic at the end. If anybody has a poem on the topic that they'd like to share that isn't in the collection, you're more than welcome. All right, I'll read Craig Ellen Lundwall's poem first. It's called Birth, Death, and Resurrection, and it opens the book. Joyful now, the rivers of my eyes have run dry. Light now, at last the cold black tempest has passed. Free now, the chains of pain are severed, my soul emancipated. Relieved now, I exhale, dispensing my fear of the future. Hopeful now, my spirit again free to imagine, able to dream. Awake now, part of the circle again. I spin new sensations. Restored now, vitality regained. I engaged all I see. Peaceful now, the meaning revealed. I have mastered a lesson. Thank you, and may Craig rest in peace. Our first video reading will be by a man named Steve Walter in England. His poem is called All I Need.
Steve says that he's the bison poet, so if we don't get sick after this, we'll be in good shape for the rest.
My name's Steve Walter. This poem is a slice of history. It's called All I Need. If I were to be honest, all I need is what I am. So why do I long for her taste, her touch, her sex? Simply knowing that I could ought now to be enough. But I want more than only to remember her skin, her warmth, her smile, her playful laughter. What I want is to relive those first few weeks, months, hours, days, when there was nothing in the world that mattered more than to be together. When our embrace broke the hearts of lovers not yet born, and we took what we each had to give as if it were a child to grow with us. All I need is what I am. I am that child in her. She is in me. I cannot forget. I even remember the shapes of the bedclothes each morning, as if our every movements were captured in their soft mounds, folds and crevices. And I remember the voice of the singer who sang to the bonding of our muscles and limbs, and sang again the day we parted, releasing each other.
Disembodied experience for sure. And Dara, would you be our reader? And we've got the book here.
Oh, awesome.
If that's
great. I was going to read it off my phone, but I can read it out of the book.
Okay. Do you remember your page?
105.
Okay.
Do you want me to give you a background or you just pass it? Any background or, oh, I'm sorry. It was, oops. It was,
You're welcome
Sorry,
to introduce your poem any way you want.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. This is like great to be here. This poem is under the umbrella of friendship, and Susan I was a dear friend of mine, and I'm gonna try to make it short and then cut right to the chase. But the background is we were a friend on so many different levels. We were friends from church. Her daughter was older than our son, and her other daughter was younger than our son. She was the children's librarian at our library, and our son was really into nonfiction, and she would let him have all these books that were reference books. When he was 3 years old, he could read like the 200-year history of Fort Ticonderoga because he wanted to, and she would just let him have the reference books. And we were in family book club together, plus I got to work with her at this library for 10 years. So we had a friendship on so many different levels, and she was then gone too soon. So, and I'm just gonna ask my husband, would you mind taking a picture? Is that okay if he takes a picture while I read? Sorry to interrupt your receiving, Arnie, sorry. But 8 years after Susan's death, by Gary. Tuning fork for veins. Your untimely death remains. How to calibrate. Candle flame snuffed out, sucker punched by your demise. Empty, nauseous. Tears swell in my eyes. Why then did you have to die? Your spark doused too soon. How to carry on with so much of you now gone? Memories don't help. Your laughter, your strut, you, that's all I want. Only you. Memories won't do. Thank you. And if it's still on the Orenaug Mountain Publishing website, there's a picture of Susan on one of the intro pages, so please go see her. She lifted weights, she ate kale, she was amazing.
All right, our next online reader will be Maria Tosti, and her poem is called Tanka.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. My name is Maria Tosti. I'm Italian from Perugia. I thank Sandy Carlson for this publication and for the opportunity she has given us to meet each other beyond boundaries. This poem is a tanka, originally written in Italian according to the Italian metrics. Translated into English, it results in 3 verses in the Anglo-Saxon era. This poem is dedicated to my cousin Daniela, an excellent primary school teacher who left us too soon after 10 years of battles against her illness. I wrote this tanka shortly after her passing. I wished I could represent her last journey as she goes towards the light, towards God. Elsewhere opens up. Among ethereal shades, the moon rises. On your white robe, the melody of the wind. Thank you for your attention. Have a good continuation with the poetry reading.
So the universality of that experience of grief is really something. Shelley, would you read next? Down from Massachusetts, right?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Oh my God, even
On the
more.
Massachusetts state line.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Up that way.
Hi everyone, I'm Shelley Rodrigue, and this poem, it's a villanelle called Destiny. I wrote this poem sometime after my wife was having some very substantial health problems, and for the first time it became very apparent to me that being a young widow very much could be in my future. And so I was thinking about all the plans we had and how we had planned to spend, 80 or 90 years together. And that might get cut short at, the age of 33 or 34. So something I certainly was not prepared for, but something that was very realistically going to be a part of my future. And thankfully, she is stable today, and she's sitting right there. So I'm lucked out. The universe certainly smiled on us. But this poem was born out of me looking into the future and realizing that love is something that is always going to try to leave us. And so with the way our days are so harshly numbered, we need to grasp onto it with both hands. And that's where this poem came from. Destiny. It was always my destiny to lose you. From that first glance in high school halls, I looked into your eyes and knew nothing lasts forever. It's true, a heart shatters when it falls, as was always my destiny, to lose you, a pain no narcotic could subdue. Yet I would risk the void's endless walls, because looking into your eyes, I knew. In your own way, you loved me too. Content I was to be your thrall, and was always. My destiny to lose you bred fear in me, and wild it grew, a massive ache, its will to sprawl, until I looked into your eyes anew. That deep, rich brown of a Cajun rue wrapped around my soul like a shawl. It was always my destiny to lose you. I looked into your eyes. I knew. Thank you.
So I got to talk with these two when they got here, and now I got a little extra piece of the story that it goes back to high school.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. All right, the next recorded poet is a gentleman named Prithvijit Sinha. He is from the Lucknow region of India, and he calls himself old school. And he is there a room up there in heaven? I'll just let you make the connection. Is to tell his
It's
poem.
an honor for me to recite or read a poem that was written in these very beautiful environments. That is the riverfront in Lucknow. I'm going to read this poem within these surroundings that inspired it, and also the fact that this poem was inspired by Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven makes it all the more poignant and memorable. Is there a room up there in heaven? Or are there boughs holding still to your kite in a windless world? Is there really a room up there in heaven? Or is it open for admission somewhere close to a city named Ambrosia? Hissing lawns prevail, where the sprinklers satiate a thirst for knowledge regarding earthly fortunes. And every element from worms to herons, star-shaped leaves, and the elegant trinity of brown, green, and tangerine indents has a dream-like quality you nurtured like Pegasus, resting under the same boughs, holding still to your kite. In my world, there are open rooms without a bed. The eyes become catacombs under false ceilings. The light comes. Tears from heaven roll around, sometimes like bitter honey on spring's little fingers. In my world, that acoustic refrain leaves no desire to keep that stool by the piano in the studio. That warm, enveloping cloud, that is a man's voice, is like New York, a state of mind, a nameless city saving its last bells, distracted and yawning at the window that opens up to the ether. My world grieves. The song is like a boy who went with the child lodged in his chest and became a cloud. Thank you.
G just published his first book of poems called A Verdant Life, and he's a regular on our monthly poetry roundtable, and I host a Orenaug Mountain Publishing Poetry Roundtable every first Sunday of the month at 2. We move it around, so I need assistance keeping it straight. You're more than welcome to join us anytime. We got Cheryl Panosian up from Danbury, where she's poet laureate. Would you mind reading your poem?
It's good to be here, and thank you, Sandy. Just a little intro. This poem was written for my father after he passed away from cancer. And it was kind of like a long process. I wrote a lot throughout, and there are times when reading this poem is challenging, so I never know until I'm in it. So if I'm in it and it's, I'm stumbling, that is why. It's like a 50-50. Breath. A chill comes over the skin, knowing I can't watch his breath again, knowing his chest won't rise again, but lay flat, a body of skin and bones. They take the body and discard it before an attachment to the empty shell occurs. But the memory of his cool skin haunts the day, haunts the night, haunts the breath I hold between my lips. I breathe now as if I could blow life into him. To comfort us, they say God has taken him. Who is this God that steals breath, thief-like in early morning hours, just as night has given way to dawn? In church, we light candles, hoping his breath will fuel the flame. Thank you.
And here we have Therese, she'll pronounce her last name, but I think it's Pipins.
Therese Papins, and I'm going to read the poem Death Comes. Death comes. Death comes, the end of the waterfall, where drops rejoin and form the soul that floats. This earth, missing you, turns tears into words, words into honey. Thank you.
Martin, would you read next? Sure. Is Martin Drew a colleague of mine?
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you, Ed. This is wonderful. We lost my son, Stefan, in 2023 to a fentanyl overdose. And I had written this poem many years before, but he died in early August, which is right in the middle of the season of the Perseid meteor shower. So instead of looking at it as a negative, reminding me of the loss, there's also a beauty in it, so that every time the Perseids come around, I know that he's going to visit me. That's at least how I look at it. So this is called Perseids. So I dedicated my life to the study of the Perseids. Each night, my face amid stars reflecting back at me in black pools of cool water. I rubbed my squinting eyes to find that in the multitude, In the division, we become not many at all, but one.
Thanks, Martin. Here's Joseph, and Joseph's going to read A Heavenly Farewell. And we have all kinds of technical genius. This poem comes to us by way of WhatsApp. So,
Via Nigeria.
yeah.
My name is Joseph C. Obunna. I am from Nigeria. I have a poem I penned down for my departed mom, who departed this life after a brief ordeal with pancreatic cancer. It is titled A Heavenly Farewell. My dearest departed to the distant clouds flew. She was clad in pristine white, glittering pearls, glamorous and ebullient roses. She was ferried by a dozen cherubs in a celestial cruise, bound for the idyllic shores of heaven. Congratulations, my beloved. You have meritoriously earned the Savior's kiss and warm embrace. Sojourn in bliss and never cease our cause to plead before His Majesty Divine. We sure hope to someday share your infinite joy when at life's twilight we will be ferried in His Majesty's service, HMS Life Eternal. Happy eternal vacation to you, Mom. Thank you.
Poem I'd like to read is
There we go. That's Sherry.
Without Carly.
Friend of ours.
Walking toward the river once, I followed a woman. She had dark hair and reminded me of my long past cousin. I always wanted her to be my sister. In yellow grass by the walk, a flock of grackles chattered and grazed. Someone was fishing at the short river dock. That day, two older women under wide-brimmed sun hats shared a bucket of minnows for bait. Carlene and I, if we stood side by side, would never look like sisters. Carlene, dark-haired with hazel eyes, and me, a pale, skinny, blonde girl. She, like me, didn't have a sister. She worked in her husband's office with two other women. Her husband slept with all of them. She never got over that. There must have been other things, other reasons. She shot herself in their backyard, next to a blooming azalea bush. When I walk, especially in April, I walk with Carlene. I like to forget that she's gone. I imagine I'll see her at the next corner, at Martha's, the luncheonette on Main Street. We'll get our sandwiches and old-fashioned Coca-Colas. Thank you.
Sherry Bedingfield is a Connecticut poet. She's also a prolific artist, like our hostess. Faith, do you want to read next?
Thank you for doing this. I am so impressed. This is a logistical feat that you're pulling off here. I love what you've done. This is great work, and thank you for including us at the gallery, including my work. So this is written for my husband, who passed away in his 60s, very, very young, very alive until pancreatic cancer claimed him. And it's called Death Calls My Name. Half dreaming, I hear my name more echo than spoken, as if a query on the tongue, his, followed by a slight pause prompting a reply. Were it your voice, I'd come in flannel, barefoot, from the pretense of sleep. Days bulk up, become weeks, weeks become months that gather a chill in the lining of their coats, And should they find me alone at night, wandering directionless, they will be ready to beckon with the promise of shelter in their wintry arms, with a promise of sleep, where I might hear your voice whisper my name.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Faith. So much of the art in the gallery is also Faith's work, so it's just deep respect and appreciation of your many, many, many talents and your hospitality this afternoon. Our next online reader is a poet named Tom Nicotera, who is a good friend of Sherry's, and he's at West Hartford, right? Bloomfield? The center of the state.
This poem is for my father. It's called Dreaming of Fish. When I think of you, I recall the early morning ride to West Hill Pond. Car hugging curves, sun just rising, lake surface shimmering, air vibrating with the fish to be taken, the giant trout lurking, perhaps even the rare and fierce landlocked salmon. $2 for a boat gave us the day afloat, and after donuts at the dockside grill, we spent the day skimming the water, the line tugging at our hands, spinners dragging down the minnows to the numb cold waters where trout stirred. The sun's quiet heat was broken midday by a feast of grinders and cold sodas and whatever talk mulled between us. We stayed till we caught our limit, 5 trout each, which Mom would clean that night, then fry the rich freshness in egg and milk batter. We stayed till sometimes 1, sometimes 4, whenever that limit came, but we stayed together, man and boy, poles held taut, boat gently rocking, swallows skimming the surface, clouds floating in water, waiting for fish, dreaming of fish.
All right. Susan Marie Powers, would you come on up? All the way from Scotland, Connecticut. Yeah?
Connecticut.
All right.
Thank you. Sure. Nice to be here in person.
Yeah.
So, hello everyone, and also thanks to Faith for this venue. It's just gorgeous. I'm very happy to be here. And I'm just so impressed by the poems that I'm hearing today. They're beautiful. I've been sitting here getting shivers over and over again. This poem is called Natalie, 1967. By the expanse of Lake Maxinkuckee, on train tracks ringing the water, we stretched our legs to reach tie after tie, avoiding sharp white rocks between boards. 2 boys ripped by on their father's motorboat, weaving wildly close to us, shredding water lilies, spraying a silver plume. They hooted to our young figures, but we were busy singing Cherish. We'd spent nights in your room, watching the small black disc spin. Our voices lurched as we hit the ties hard, trying to land squarely in the middle of each. Next to me, your tanned skin glowed against a white tee and tight yellow shorts. Hugging your legs, your knees cinching the full curves of muscles. At 13, womanly hillocks coursed your body into an astonishing silhouette, while I hung slender and shapeless, marveling. We called ourselves twins, alike only in height, hair color, and a love of laughter. The warm intimacy of girls become stepsisters, girls who had found live-in best friends. I envied your flat belly and high breasts, not knowing someday an abortion would strip away the only life ever to grow in your womb. Not knowing I would never bear a child, no matter how hard I tried. We were young, listening to the record trill. You don't know how many times I wished that I could hold you. The large blue lake, the smell of marshy decay, the sharp odor of gasoline, somewhere the scent of honeysuckle. Children curled into cannonballs and hurled themselves off piers. My eyes are blue, yours were brown. Your even white teeth broke the surface of your lips, high cheekbones and ears like halved apricots. That day we walked and sang. I did not hear the distant whistle of the train until I shouted, "Get off the tracks!" only to find you frozen, your eyes fixed on the large white eye of the train bearing down. No one but me to stop your death. Move, I shouted, but you stood transfixed by the looming metal of machinery. And so I moved instead, grabbing your arm, pushing you. We fell together down the hill, a rolling tangle, sharp stones cutting into our hands, crying, "What happened? What happened?" Cherish is the word, still echoing in the hot summer air. 20 years later, you took your husband's gun from his police car, pressed that dark metal against your high forehead. And I, who lived 1,000 miles away, cried to the sky, "Natalie, didn't you know I would come?" I would have pulled you off the track, rocked you as that train screamed into the blood-splashed sunset. I would have cherished you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next and last actually recorded poet is Dan Hubbs. His poem is The Truck.
The truck. He couldn't remember much at the end of his life, my dad. He didn't know who I was. He'd wake up pointing at nothing. He asked where his mother was. "What?" my mother said. "She's been dead for years." "No," he said, pointing. "She's waiting for me." He'd mumble, he'd whisper something and stare into space. "Well, we're going to say a prayer now," my mother said. "Okay," said my dad. "Hail Mary," and so on. "Now and at the hour of our death, amen." He looked over. He was holding my mother's hand. "I don't like that last part," he said. We all laughed. We watched his old face, mouthing no words, his cloudy eyes, bones of his hands pulling on the sheets over and over, picking at the fabric like pulling weeds, faster and faster, staring at the spot on his leg. "You took my truck," he said. "What?" my mother said. "You don't remember? You were driving all over hell and creation. Lucky you didn't kill someone." "You did," he said. "You took my truck." "I'm doing everything for you," she told him. "You're not doing anything for me," he said. "Yes," she said. She started crying. "Here," I told him, "we'll get you sitting up a bit better. You can watch the Yankees." "Okay," he said. I got my hands under his arms and heaved him up best I could, so he was sitting up almost straight. I turned on the TV, found the ball game. He leaned back into the pillow as the Yankees came up to bat. "You took it," he said, "my truck. You took my truck."
Ed, would you read next? Sorry, should have caught you before you got over there.
This is called Never Got Old, and it's more about the loss of the moment, or all the moments. "I'll know I'm getting old," the father said, "when you beat me." The son dribbled the ball atop the key. They stood there in the street, hoop at the curb in front of the small house, just enough light catching the rim and net. Barely 20 years apart, they played often, after dinner nights, after chores on weekends. The games were all. "K, old man," the son thought, juking left, then hard step and drive right. The father's hand shot out to steal the ball. 7 straight makes later, and game once more. Beating the dad, turns out, required much more work. the dude had game. He had earned a free ride to college in the 60s, but in one final high school quarter, that dream ended. Scholarships vanished when cartilage tore. Recovery is unclear as a cancer fight he'd be in his 50s. The son graduated high school and college, married, and the street game became some casual, easy shoot-arounds. Father died and his son, in the casket, put a ball for the next time. Never beat your pop, and you never got old. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. I had an interesting 4 years from COVID forward. I lost my mom, a friend's mom who was like a mom, Craig's mom, died in 2018. My mom died in 2019. My dad died in 2020, and then Craig's dad died in 2021. And it was a tough time, and you really get to look at what's important, and it happens to be the people you're with whenever you're with them. And that's this group right now, and it's very special that people who have not contributed to this collection are here to support the people who have, or to support poetry, or the communication that this is. So very grateful to Faith to make this possible for us in this space filled with such an array of art and so many different styles and perceptions, and it's a real honor to be here. This poem comes out of catching my breath after 4 years. It's called This Shoal. Through the summer haze filming the skyline, I saw you in the mighty cumulus clouds rising from invisible volcanoes just below the glassy sea's surface, as if you had come to say, there is more, above, below, beyond which you behold. We are here, our souls at sea are home. Let your heart remember. Open the door to eternity. Remember and live. The granite sands hold the heat of memory of spirits living. Lapping water listens. The sky and sun feel the press of your breath. Every life is a keeper of Earth's soul. Open your heart. Stay a part of this shoal. Thank you very much.
If I'm shaking, it's not nerves, I'm cold. I actually had two in mind, given the theme today, but I noticed everyone's only read one, so I won't be greedy. Peter and I were recently in England for 2 months, and our dear lifelong friend died. So I was able to read a poem of mine at his funeral, share it with you today. Stay with me. Stay with me through another spring. I could not bear if you should go. We could watch the trees turn green and smell the flowers as they grow. Do not leave me during summer, when the birds sing their sweet song, and all the earth is filled with joy and life. To leave me then would be so wrong. In the golden days of autumn, as leaves fall gently to the earth, stay with me a little longer until spring heralds its rebirth. In the icy grip of winter, share with me the firelight glow. Very soon will follow springtime. There is no good time to go. Do not leave me during daylight hours, for that would break my heart in two. Don't slip away in the still of night. I need to say goodbye to you. But when you feel the time is right to take your leave of me, then whisper softly in my ear, and my darling, I will set you free. Thank you.
This is the same topic. inspired by the loss of my son, but you're going to find this a quite different poem than the last one. This was written maybe in the last couple of months or so. It's called Feather. Another fentanyl fallen, wax welded, ether creeping Icarus statistic, mortally majestic, floating. Our sons' sons, our daughters, searing heavens at morning, no compass, no altimeter, only woven wings. Spectre boy, here laughing, now smiling, gone as quick as the flick of a camera switch flash. Thank you.
All right, this poem is one that I wrote recently. A good friend of mine, his name was Will Laird, he passed away after battling cancer for 2 years. And he was an excellent writer. He was a therapist. He had turned his life completely around. He was struggling with addiction for most of his adult life. And he was he finished up his master's, he went into practice, he instituted all kind of wonderful policies with the Jefferson Parish Police Department to have therapists go out on mental health crises calls so that people's lives could be saved. He was doing wonderful things with his life and helping other people to come out of the same darkness that he had struggled through. And a couple days before he died, he reached out to me and asked for help writing his personal statement so he can apply to a PhD program to continue those studies and to continue the work that he was doing. And we had a little back and forth about tense. We couldn't quite agree on whether you should use past tense or present tense in the personal statement. And he was in good spirits. The tumors had completely gone away. The treatment was working. And so it came as a shock to everyone that he was just so suddenly gone. And this is a poem about becoming aware of that loss after that last conversation. It's called Past Tense for Will Laird. Our last conversation was tense. How to move from discussing what was to what is. How to travel through time without dropping readers with zero warning into a time frame for which you had not prepared them. Your name was like this, Will. A promise of a future we both believed you'd be alive and in. I don't know how to move to was from is, how to say the friend I love is past tense. You have split the infinitive, put an end stop where it doesn't belong. Your life was a sentence meant to run on and on. What am I supposed to do with this fragment? Thank you.
The poem that I will share is called Vignettes of a Broken Heart. Love, frozen in time. Losing you breaks me apart, shattering my trust. Lost love, abandoned, denial in time and space. My heart bleeds for you. Gathering my wits, without you near, brings me fear. I now walk alone. Thank you.
So again, thank you very much, Faith, and for everybody who's traveled to be here, to be in this amazing studio. And if we could take a free will donation to support Faith's work in support of the arts, that would be a real great thing. And again, a lot of you guys have traveled far. Please have some refreshments and mix and mingle for a little bit. And just thank you so much all for being here.